Welcome to the Steve Reeve Podcast with the best moments from the past week and a few things that didn't make it to air. Monday.
Some selections at the ice cream truck, they just haven't changed at all. You know, I've been around for quite some time. The Rockets, the Red, White, Blues, the ice cream sandwiches, the cartoon or video game characters whose faces have been melted and refrozen. Sometimes you get the gumball, sometimes you don't. You know, those are still around. Even the little personal tubs of like chocolate malt that I almost never see people grab, but when I do, I'm like, good, a fellow person of taste. Those are delicious. But some, I feel like they have been lost to time. Like the sorbet cylinders. I don't know if do you remember those that you'd have to push from the bottom? Practically like extrude the frozen stuff out of a glorified empty toilet paper roll. That's what it is. It's just colored. You know, they just printed stuff on it, but that's what it is. Nothing said summer like it. Those things were always kind of gross, and they probably do still make them. I just haven't seen one in years, and now I'm trying to think of other, summery frozen snacks and treats that they just don't give you anymore.
It's time for Cruz Music News with Steve Reeve.
Over in Europe, in the UK, the Download Festival happened over the weekend. Gigantic festival, lots of big names. We're talking Green Day was there, Sleep Token, Korn, Weezer, Jimmy Eat World, the Eagles of Death Metal, The Darkness, and the list goes on. But also Venga Boys were there. And I guess the crowd was absolutely loving the Dutch Eurodance group, the Venga Bus. When it comes to town, you pay attention. There's footage of just the hugest crowd in front of them, bringing me way back to high school days. But also at Download Festival, the attendees were asked in not so unspecific terms to just please, hey, maybe take off or turn off the smartwatches if you're going to be taking part in the mosh pit, because in previous years, police saw about 1,000 extra calls over the Download weekend just automatically being placed from the watches people are wearing. What a modern world problem. Franz Ferdinand also in the news because they're going to be undertaking a tour over in Europe as well. The Human Fear album is going to be celebrated and supported, and they're going to do a set at Glastonbury before they embark on their full tour. Of course, a little far away for anybody looking to grab tickets to that, but you never know when they expand that into North America. We'll be paying attention.
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
I don't know if anybody else has noticed. I certainly hope the people who can actually do something about it have noticed, but heading especially down Confederation Way, and in particular if you're headed the southbound direction towards Thickwater downtown, the erosion that's going on there is out of control. It's kind of wild. You kind of spot it at first further up the hill. You're like, oh, there's a big channel kind of beside the paved road, where you're like, well, it's just as soon as it starts to eat away under the road, that road's going to start to crumble. But even further down, like just as you're actually for sure taking the turnoff, the exit to go south, there's one light pole in particular that's just like the dirt around it on both sides gone. Almost gone. I'm like, how deep do these things go to make sure they've got purchase on the ground? How much of this runoff is going to need to happen before that thing just topples, you know? It's not looking good. And also, not for nothing, but there's those two pieces of pavement that are kind of sticking up in the air midway through, and that's on the median in Confederation Way. That's just bugging me every time I drive by it. Somebody go fix that already. I get so tired of the recurring conversation. Looks like 2025 is the year of remakes and sequels. Looks like 2024 is the year of remakes and sequels. Looks like, you get it. I don't need to continue. I don't really get bothered by it because it's not true. It is true. You can't fault that. It's just that the thing is, it's true of every year now. And also every year there are a pile of original movies that get made that you could watch instead. But it's annoying because people saying it don't even really realize that they're just doing the same thing that they're saying. It's a remake of a remake of a remake of an opinion. You're going to complain about a lack of originality. I don't know. Maybe you should probably try to find a new way to say it.
Tuesday.
dropped my phone, putting my sweater on. Movie theater, after the movie, of course, I put the sweater on, and I had an incorrect order of operations, because the sweater was mostly on, but not adjusted yet, and I was like, phone's in my hand, you just put it in the pocket, whatever, and then adjusted it, and it just flipped right out, of course, and it hit the ground, and I saw cracks as soon as I picked it up. You could just tell when it's a bad drop. Even before I picked it up, I knew something had happened. Just the sound it made, maybe. Something tipped me off. But I have a screen protector on it, as you do, and then I noticed that very fine spiderweb pattern of cracks. And I assumed, of course, okay, well, it's the protector. That's kind of what they do. They shatter like that, and then your phone is protected. Easy, just replace. Found one that fits the phone. Mine's a little older. Got it home. And then I felt my face drop as I prepared myself and peeled a perfectly good screen protector off of a fully screwed up screen. I mean, I broke the protector as I was taking it off, because they're not meant to come off all that easy, and yeah, it was fine until I intervened. The screen underneath on the actual phone itself, oh no, not so much. Now there's a new protector on the phone, but nothing has truly been fixed, and I wonder if that's a metaphor for something. It is a special day for all of us here in Canada, because it's a special day for Bryan Adams. Probably the biggest song of his career, definitely one of the most well-known around the globe, is Summer of '69. And that song is turning 40 years today. 40 years old, as released as a single. To be clear, it was technically released on the album a little earlier than that. November of 1984 is when Reckless came out, his fourth album, and did very, very well. Of course, 12 million copies worldwide. Best-selling album to date. This song, a powerhouse within the lineup, within the track listing. Just an absolutely huge song. It's crazy to see him play it live here in Fort McMurray not too many years ago. And just, this is a solid day. For all Canadians, I think we can share it together. Now, he actually talked about the longevity of that song and how it didn't really land at first, way back when, 40 years ago. It's had a very interesting history. He was talking to iHeartRadio just last year as the album was turning 40.
It did okay when it first came out, but it sort of came and went. And then in the 90s, it had kind of a resurgence. A DJ in Holland that decided to take it on, and he made it a number one record. It never charted anywhere else. That moment ended up being a catalyst for it. It just grew and grew and grew. And I think time has been the beautiful thing for that song, because it's taken 40 years to be where it is today.
Hey Alexa, play the Steve Reeve podcast.
Red jumpsuit apparatus saying, hey, MAGA fans, don't come to the shows. You're not allowed. In a barely enforceable ban, really just a reiteration of nothing new. The front man, Ronnie from Red Jumpsuit, as well as, really the band echoing it, has been loudly anti-Trump and anti-MAGA since 2020, and likely before criticizing the election of Donald Trump back in 2016, and so, of course, nothing much has changed on that front, or, really in the country. And Kate Bush, in other news, she's releasing a new self-directed animated short film. It's called Little Shrew, and it is a little bit, self-autobiographical, but it's also got something to do with World War II. Loosely, it's going to be played ahead of a German resistance feature called From Hilda with Love, starting on June 24th around North America. And sad news, as John Reed, a pioneer, songwriter, and DJ, has died. He was 61, and we don't have a cause of death, but it was confirmed by his former fiancée. This is a guy who was prolific in writing music with major stars: Rod Stewart, Kelly Clarkson, Westlife, Tina Turner, The Nightcrawlers, and more. Is it really just as simple as watch sports, get excited? Well, Ontario scientists are studying the brains of people who are watching hockey to learn just what happens. Near-infrared spectroscopy was used, whatever that is exactly, but used to scan the brains, watch the brain activity of fans while they watched some hockey. And what did they find so far? Watch sports, get excited is pretty much it. That's what they've gotten to so far. Maybe there's still more to discover, but in a real left turn with the research, they observed that the people who were bigger fans of hockey had, get this, more brain activity while watching hockey than those who didn't care or simply just hold, like a passive interest. We're really cracking the code on this one.
Wednesday.
There was a time in my life when I was a sweet summer child, and I thought, oh, yeah, this is nice. There's no immediate emergencies anywhere. Peace times. Fantastic. But, and then a little bit of age crept up, a little bit of current event worked its way into my life, and then I started to think about, okay, well, it's kind of a normal thing for people in my generation, people that are around today, to have gone through a few different major world experiences, major life experiences in a year, in a few years, in a decade, that kind of thing. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, how many have happened this week? 1, 2, 3, like 8. 8 this week. All right. Keep up the good work, guys. First up, Ozzy Osbourne teaming up with Liquid Death, the canned water company, to sell his DNA. He says, clone me, you bastards. He's got 10 empty cans that he has allegedly had a sip from. Maybe he took it right to the head, drank all the way down, but they're then resealed to supposedly contain his DNA. They're being sold for $450 a piece. You'd think if there was only 10 of them and they're for sure containing the Prince of Darkness's DNA, they'd be more than $450. But hey, I guess wait for them to show up on eBay. There's a brand new trailer for the Bruce Springsteen biopic called Deliver Me From Nowhere. That's going to be coming out in October, with Jeremy Allen White starring. He's taking it out of the kitchen and to the guitar strings. Ringo Starr in the news. He's furthering the scenario, the situation that happened with The Who and their drummer Zach Starkey getting fired. And Ringo Starr now just adding his 2 cents, saying, I never liked the way that man runs that band. That little man, he says. Starkey does, of course, insist that he was fired from The Who. Roger Daltrey, his version of events, says that the drummer had been retired. So, truth in the middle, I guess.
Transmission over. Want more Steve? New podcast episodes happen every Friday, or just tune into the Steve Reeve Show. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30 a.m. on 100.5 Cruz FM.